Hi there, I'm Avi. I've been playing D&D and TTRPGs for quite a few years now, and most of them have become roleplay-heavy campaigns. And like many of you, I first searched to find these games on r/LFG. And there are hundreds of roleplay-heavy campaigns that people can look for, as you can see here. But I personally decided to find people to run my own narrative-heavy campaign, and I've got 50+ responses within a single day. And because of all that, you would think that there would be a lot of resources online to find and run these roleplay heavy campaigns. And to my surprise, there weren't that many. As a DM, I wanted to improve on how to run these campaigns. And a lot of recommendations were, okay, if you want to run a roleplay heavy campaign, just run Blades in the Dark, Call of Cthulhu, something along those lines. And although it is true that those systems are slightly better, in terms of running those narrative focused stories, D&D can work in that way too, and especially because D&D is such a good gateway for a lot of players. A lot of people know about it from Critical Role, Baldur's Gate, etc. And if there are ways to tell narrative stories with this D&D system, then why not do it? And so I decided, hey, why not? Okay, because of the popularity, a lot of people knows the system, I will try to run a campaign that works that way. And as a DM, I had plenty of ups and downs, and I did my best to sort of improve as I go along. I learned from my mistakes. So if you are thinking about running a roleplay heavy campaign, hopefully the points I talk about right now can help you sort of improve and maybe not make the mistakes that I made. And yeah, so let's just jump right into it. So my first and biggest rule at any table, whenever I run a campaign, is that everyone at the table should have fun, and that includes you as a DM. And it tends to be a case in especially roleplay heavy campaigns that people are like, oh, that's what my character would do. And you might have heard this, you might have experienced this on your own, and what I always say is that make sure that in a game everyone is having fun. Check in with other players, give them the opportunity to talk, and don't be disruptive, right? Don't be that rogue that steals from people, your own party members. Don't be the paladin that is always self-righteous and needs to figure out, even if you don't know, you only know this over the table, you still want to sort of interrupt and stop some player from stealing things. Everyone should be able to enjoy the game, and even though we're role-playing our characters, it is after all a collaborative game. So what a character wants to do should never supersede what the enjoyment of the table. And remind your players and yourself that we're all here to have fun, so just let's focus on that over everything else. Now that is covered, let's jump into our second point. To share the spotlight. You want to encourage your players to sort of share the spotlight. You don't have to be the bard or the sorcerer or the warlock to be the face of the party. Maybe you're in a temple, you're at war, and the cleric is more suited to have negotiations in that situation, right? Or you're talking a thieves guild, maybe your rogue is better suited at talking to people. Give them the opportunity. Let them convince you how they interact, and encourage your players to let other people talk, and they should also jump in whenever they can, right? That's a huge thing, and that brings the collaborative nature of it all. It's like, okay, maybe I've been talking as a player, maybe you think, okay, maybe I've been talking for a while, maybe let's give a different player a little more chance. And as DM, you can support that as well by asking, oh, maybe this character knows a bit more in the situation, give them advantage on a roll for history check or something for the cleric to talk to the clergy or something like that, right? Number 3, you want your players to succeed. In RP heavy campaigns, the players and their characters are the heroes of the story. So sometimes they will succeed when the odds are against them, and that's okay. Help them achieve the cool thing they want to do. You want to tell a collaborative story, and if the player wants to try something out that's unique, let them do it. Make it challenging, give them a sense of accomplishment, and if they fail, don't say that's it. Give them a chance to try again. Maybe there's a new creative way. It doesn't have to end because some check failed. The dice should not dictate the story every single time. After all, it's a role-play heavy campaign. You're telling a collaborative story. And sometimes they have a secret plan, and you want to encourage your players to share that with you. You want to help. If they don't explain it to you, you don't know what they want to do. So have a session or have a space where they can actually tell you the secret plan, and then you can help them achieve that cool thing they want to do. So they feel like, oh, their idea was really cool and they got rewarded for it. Next, let's talk about lines and veils. Again, this is one of the points that has been talked about in other videos and stuff, so I won't go too deep into it, but it's a very important topic that you should definitely think about, especially in RP campaigns. There are times that they will tell you at the beginning of the campaign that, okay, this is something that they like, dislike, and keep that in mind. Sometimes they don't know what they don't like. And when you're telling a story, you're focused in that moment. But if someone brings up that they're not comfortable with this, then just adapt, move on, and go to the next thing. You don't have to folks be stuck on the idea that you're telling a story as a DM, so you'll have to sort of establish that. You can always jump over it. It's not a big deal. Number 6. Creativity goes a long way. When a player suggests a cool idea that doesn't entirely make sense to you as a DM, don't shut it down. Ask them to explain. Ask them why they want to achieve something specific that they haven't planned, and then help them find a middle ground so that you both can collaborate and do that cool thing that they want to do. Give them suggestions that how they might achieve it. If the idea they have in mind at the moment doesn't work, maybe there's a different way to achieve that exact same thing. Suggesting is okay when they came up with the idea. So don't be afraid to even collaborate in terms of the cool idea they have in mind. Next up, mechanics and rules. I'm currently running the new 2024 rules, and I'm still learning, even though I know them fairly well, I'm at my currently a 3rd campaign now, and I don't expect all my players to know all of those rules that I know. So if they ask me repeatedly the same question about rules clarification, I'm totally fine with them asking again. You should be too as a DM, because again, it takes time to learn all the rules, and it is okay to make mistakes, same mistakes, as long as they're trying. That's the important part, right? And there are times that I get things wrong as well, even though I know them as well. And if they correct me, I always encourage them. It's, again, we're being collaborative, so you shouldn't take it personally when they're correcting your rules, because they had this cool idea, they want to do it. So let them explain why that works in that way, and then you can always, like, if it's too complicated, you don't want it to be a discussion during session, so you can just table it for being like, hey, I make this ruling now as a DM, and then you can move on and look back into the rule. And tend to rule towards the player when you're unsure, because again, you want them to succeed. So if you're ruling towards them, at least this time, and then tell them that, okay, I'm supporting you this time with your plan that you have, but I'm not sure about the rule. I'll come back to it, and we might have an established rule going forward. And in that regard, they'll be happy that you at least listen to them, and then you can move on to the next thing. I'll tell you a cool story about one of my players did. So they wanted to use mending to mend a severed head, and mending is generally used for objects and sort of repairing tears, but they wanted to be a sort of a pig, like respects to the person in the character that head was chopped off, and they were like, okay, can I use mending? And in that moment, I said that, yeah, sure, because you're doing something that is narratively cool, go ahead and do it, but this is not going to be a common thing. Like, you can't just repair someone's head. Next, let's talk about death. In RP campaigns, maybe sometimes death is rare, and that's totally fine. I do my best to let my players figure out how to avoid deaths in bad situation. If I can help them in a story sort of way to get away from a dire situation, then I'll do my best to give them the option. Again, I tend to keep my intervention to a minimum, but like, especially like, I don't just drop like a powerful NPC that comes and saves the day, but I do give them options like, hey, maybe you can try this to avoid this weird situation that you can't get out of. That being said, don't trivialize death moments. If a story demands for it, and if the dice demand for it, it'll happen. And then if the death happens, let the party grieve, let the story breathe. After the session, you can talk to the player who lost their character. What do they want to do? Do they want a new character? Do they want to bring the character back from a story way? And then maybe they can even have like a break character for a few sessions, and while we do the narrative thing to bring their character back in whatever way that's possible. Again, resurrection is relatively common in D&D, or like maybe they want to play a reborn race or whatever, right? So have a chat with them at the end of the session. so that like that death means a lot, and don't just bring them back quickly, right? Because you want the players to actually be able to grieve, the characters to grieve, and the story to have that impactful moment. And then maybe after a few sessions of them trying a different character, let them come back. Again, don't let them sit too long without playing, because you don't want them to sort of feel like they're not part of the game, right? Because again, the whole point of like everyone should be having fun. Just because the character die doesn't mean the player can no longer have fun. Next up, initiative doesn't always mean combat. This is a big D&D problem, and especially for new players. When I call for initiatives, it just means that the mechanics are in play. That applies for you as a DM as well. You don't always have to resolve it with combat. If a character is aggressive, then I might ask to roll initiative because there's some kind of aggression or like combat engagement. It doesn't mean the other players cannot intervene and try to calm the situation. Don't make them feel like they wasted their action by not at least listening to what they have in mind. If they try to convince to see what happens, then give them the chance to roll a persuasion check, roll an intimidation check, whatever that might be, to help them sort of resolve the situation. Again, that lets them be creative with their cool feats, cool spells that they have in mind. Maybe calm emotion in a situation doesn't exactly do what the spell says, but they wanted to use it to like calm them down. Don't make it seem like, okay, they use this cast spell so the enemy knows that they cast a spell. Sometimes like jiggle that a bit so that like it allows you to be creative with those spells. Some fights obviously will be unavoidable, and in those cases, like they're dealing with the monsters or whatever, that's fine. But not all fights or not all initiatives should end with someone dying or the entire party wiping out the enemies. Next up, D100 questions. This is a fun one, but it helps a lot of character bonding. At the start of every session, what I do is I tell all my players to roll a D100 and answer a question in character. There are tons of like D100 questions online, and I will link some of them in the description below. But questions like, has your character ever kept any toys from their childhood? Or what's the best meal that your character has ever had? It sort of gets them thinking in character about what they would do at the beginning session, so they kind of get back into the zone, right? And we pretend that this is all happening during downtime, so it can be canon about in the story, especially before like big sort of sessions where there's a big combat or there's intense something. It sort of lightens the mood a bit to get them sort of like bonding again, because if the character's having an argument in game, they can sort of talk about stuff that's fun and interactive outside, so that they can get like that kind of positive vibe going at the beginning of the session. And yeah, really fun thing to do. And so next, let's talk about character secrets. Secrets amongst players can be good, but as a DM, you need to be very careful. Especially if your players are new to each other, like you're running a new campaign with like sort of a new group. I would avoid mechanical secrets, because those tend to be very difficult to sort of understand. Things like cool abilities or transformations that other people don't know about, especially in initiative and combat. You want your players to be collaborative, and weird mechanics sort of confuse other people and even like prolongs the initiative longer and just adds like a lot more difficult, especially if even the players are new to D&D itself. It's just even more difficult. So I would avoid, at least for your first campaign, to not have those sort of mechanical secrets. But as you move along with your second campaign and the players sort of know each other, maybe then you can have those mechanical secrets. That's what I did for my campaign. I'm on my third campaign, and now I'm sort of adding those mechanical sort of species secrets that you could have. On the other hand, though, backstory secrets can be cool, especially in moderation. Just remember that the backstory secret should bring the players together and not drive them apart. Think of situations like where you had this cool backstory thing that helps the party sort of move the story along. That's the kind of secrets you want them to have. Everything should be a conversation. Encourage your players to talk to you. Do one-on-ones with them. Ask them if they're enjoying the game, if they're enjoying the story arc. And ask them if they want to see anything that should be changed in their games. Regular check-ins help you sort of better understand where they're coming from. Just typing is not going to help you. So talk to them, ask them what has changed. Maybe due to the campaign that has been going on at the moment, their characters seems different to them than what they initially had planned, characters evolve, and let them evolve. Don't be stuck on the idea that a backstory and the character idea at the beginning has to be the same as they develop throughout the campaign. And listen to them. If someone isn't enjoying the game as much, then ask them what you could do to improve. A lot of it, even in-game or out-of-game, needs to be sort of checked in, and that's how you can get better, especially in a narrative campaign, because the story as it evolves and becomes deeper, the player's character develop as well, and you want to let them grow as they want to grow. Also, build that deeper connection with your players. As you talk to them, as you become friends, things will change and you'll get to know each other better, and you can tell a better story, right? After having run 2 campaigns of my own, I now play in some of my players' campaigns because I also want to play games as well, right? So grow that connection and see how far that goes, and then sort of work together to tell even better stories. Running a roleplay heavy campaign can be quite a bit of fun. So if you're still considering whether you want to do it or not, I say just jump right into it. Support your players, adapt to the story, and remember, you're part of the fun too. So make it a collaborative game, and you'll all have a great time. Hopefully, all of these points sort of gave you a bit of clarity on how to improve or run your roleplay heavy campaign. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next time.